everyone. Happy Friday. Thank you, Life Leaders, for joining me again on this beautiful Friday morning. I know it kind of stormed here in Florida last night, but it's gorgeous this morning. So I am Sheila Wood. I am the CEO of Lead Life by Design, and I am also the creator of the Financial Alignment Academy, where I blend personal development with your strategic personal financial plan. Today, I want to talk about the 8 steps to creating your debt payoff plan. And really talking about what are debts, what kind of debts are there out there, and what kind of debts are most important to get rid of, and others that you may want to reconsider for current situation, depending on what life is holding you, and then creating the plan in the future. One of the things that I teach in my Financial Alignment Academy is really about balance. You know, I am a firm believer that holding a lot of shame on the things that we have done in the past doesn't serve us. It doesn't serve us to punish ourselves for the things that we've done in the past. Now, creating a debt payoff plan can feel like a punishment because it really tightens up the budget and really makes it difficult for you to be able to incorporate the hobbies and incorporate life's fun when you're trying to pay off this big chunk of energy that's going on this side of things, right? So I really want to hone in on the types of debt there is, the steps in creating that debt plan, but then also in the psychology behind having a happy balance and being able to let go of the shame that you've created around the debt that you have. So the first thing I really want to do is really talk about the types of debt that are out there. There are many different philosophies. I'm sharing my philosophy and what I teach in my course and what I have learned through my personal journey and what my clients have also gone through. So please know that there are many different ways of doing that, many different theories on debt and the pressure that you should put on yourself on getting it done. All right, but today I want to talk about the 4 types of debt that I teach. The first type of debt is good debt, right? That's a debt for a home, a beautiful roof over your head, a car to get you to work. Student loan debt, believe it or not, is actually good debt because you're investing in yourself and you're investing in your future, right? All of those debts are good debts because they get you where you want to go. They help you make more money. You know, they keep that paycheck flow going. It keeps you safe at night by having that roof over your head, and it allows you to increase your knowledge and increase your workability to be able to make more money. All right, so good debt is out there. Does it mean that you want to hold on to it? Not necessarily, but I'm going to get into that in a minute. The second debt that I talk about a lot is the bad debt, right? It's that consumer debt. It's that spending above our means and really putting ourselves in a position that makes it tight and makes it shameful. Those are the debts that usually come from emotional spending. And I talked about emotional spending a couple weeks ago in my video and how that can really impact your ability to save for the future, because now you've created this debt or you've spent everything in your pocket, you know, that whole once it goes in, it flows out syndrome. And then it just creates so much energy that you hold on to that doesn't allow you to move. If you can't move freely, you can't make more money, right? The shame that you hold on to with those decisions that you made in the past doesn't allow you to step into the confidence of knowing that you can make more money in the future. Now, sometimes when we're actually doing the spending, we're like, oh, we'll worry about that later. I can always handle that, right? But the fact of the matter is, when you start looking at it, you don't realize how big it really was until you start looking at it. But it's important to start looking at it, right? it's important to really start honing in on that part of your life so that you can move forwards freely and really start planning for your future and start planning for the things that you want to do in your life, right? Hi, Tanya. Thank you for joining me. So I really want to talk about number three. Number three, you got your good debt, you got your bad debt, your good debt, right? Your investment debt, I actually talked about that with student loans is good debt and investment debt because you're investing in yourself. But sometimes using debt to invest in the market or to, invest in something that's going to give you a return is a good debt. It's an investment debt in your future and in continuous flow of income. You have to truly know what you're doing, and you have to truly have someone that can walk you through doing something like that. Hi, Anne. But taking that money and investing it in something that's going to make more money isn't necessarily a bad decision if you know what you're doing and if you have somebody helping you who knows what you're doing, right? I don't recommend doing that as a general rule of thumb, but some people are willing to take more risks in being able to make that money come in. And again, that's a decision that you'll have to make for yourself, but it has to be with knowledge, right? That's an educated investment of debt. Now, that being said, the fourth type of debt that I talk about is what I call my honor debt. An honor debt is those debts that you promise to pay throughout your whole life, through your financial journey, that you just never got around to paying. That's usually friends, it's family members, it's, friends and family, because that's really your circle of influence, right? Those people that have helped you out in the past. And being able to pay that off is such a huge energy release. Because if I say honor debt and I say list one thing that comes to mind that you borrowed, whether it be as a teenager, whether it be as an adult, whether it be for a major life event, whatever that is, that you borrowed from someone else that you have not paid back. If it comes to mind immediately, that is a serious energy that you are carrying. And it is very difficult to keep moving forward in your life when you're holding on to the shame of not being able to let go of that. And it feels like a lot of times that you're done with that, right? That they don't want it back anyway. They're not expecting me to pay it back, therefore I'm not going to pay it back. But honor debt has the heaviest weight of all four debts, because there's no accountability for it but yourself. And when you let yourself down, it's very difficult to step into the confidence and know that you can be better and that you can do better. But when you put it on your debt plan to pay it off, now it's forefront, right? It's front of mind, it's on the table. You're not ignoring it any longer. And now you're putting it in the plan to release it. So honor debt is the most powerful debt of all four for that very reason of self-accountability. So now that you kind of get an idea of what those four debts are, let's talk about the plan, right? I'm going to be posting a free worksheet. It's just to help you list out your debts as we go through the plan. I wasn't able to post it to the live, but I'm going to try to post it to the comments at the bottom. So be sure to download that list, because it really helps you know what to write about so that you have the big picture in front of you. Once you have the big picture in front of you, you're able to make your plan, right? So step number one, download the worksheet, right, first. But step number one in making that plan is pulling all your current statements. This is the debt that you know. It's sitting there, you know it's there. It's credit cards, it's car, it's mortgage, it's home equity line of credits, it's anything that you know for a fact and you have statements for that you can pull. Pull them all. Don't worry about listing anything yet. Just pull them all and get them ready to start writing for your next step. Once you have all of your statements pulled, then you're going to list them on the worksheet, right? Now the worksheet has many different, I'm going to read some notes so I don't forget exactly what's on the worksheet because it's not in front of me. It's going to ask you for who is the debt, like who is holding your debt, whether it be a lender or a credit collection agency or, you know, well, a lender or credit, that's really all there is. So, sorry. The original date that you borrowed it, that's going to come into play in a future date, but it's important to go ahead and just list it and if you have it, list it. Your original amount borrowed, this is kind of give you an idea of the difference between where you started and where you are with your outstanding balance. Your current balance, your current outstanding balance is going to be listed. Your interest rate. On each statement, the interest rate is going to be listed. Sometimes you have to search for it, right? And sometimes because it's variable, it's going to be a little bit different every month. What we really want to do is just write what's current. Don't worry about whether it's going up and down. That's really not important when you're creating your debt payoff plan. Because really it's going to be about the minimum payment. The minimum monthly payment. If you have cards now that you are currently paying more than the minimum on, that is fantastic. However, for this plan, I really want you to hone in on what the minimum payment is for now, right? And just jot down, there's a note section at the end, just jot down the difference between what's minimum on your statement and what you're actually paying right now to kind of see how much more you're adding to that currently. All right. So trust me on this, when we get there, that this will make sense. Minimum payment only under the minimum payment column. The next section is your notes. This is going to be where you put anything that you truly want to remember about it. Example, if you have a line of credit, like a furniture purchase that has 0% for the next 18 months, having that original purchase date is going to allow you to know how many months you've already passed, and that'll help you calculate how many months you still have left. Okay? In the notes section, this is where you're going to put how many months you have left for 0% interest. It's also going to be able to put the dollar amount that would need to be paid to get it to 0 by that date. So if you had originally borrowed $1,000, you've been paying minimum on it for the last 6 months, the current outstanding balance is, say, $900, right? You still have 12 months to pay $900 off. So divide the $900 by the 12 months to get that figure. That is not what's going in minimum. The minimum payment on the statement goes in the minimum column. What we're looking for is that difference between what's minimum and how much you need to get it paid off. Okay? So anything that you want to remember about that particular line of credit, you're just going to write it down in the notes. Because having that in front of you and that big picture in front of you, so when you're creating your plan, is going to make it easier than having to flip through papers over and over again, right? So let's deal with the statement that's in front of you at this time on the list and get all the information that you need on the worksheet, okay? So the next step, once you get all the known statements written, right? That includes your car, that includes your mortgage, that includes a home equity line of credit, right? Any toys that you have for motor vehicles, boats, motorcycles, anything, right? Those are all getting listed. The next step I want you to do is to pull your credit report. Why, you ask? Because your credit report is going to tell you anything that is not front of mind. And what typically happens is Most people do not check their credit report on a regular basis. And because they don't check their credit report on a regular basis, they may have, and many end up having, outstanding balances that they had no idea were there. And that's affecting your credit score, but it's also affecting you being able to move forward, because your credit report affects your insurance on your vehicle. It affects job opportunities and raises or promotions. If they do background checks on you for a promotion, it can truly affect many different avenues in your life that you don't even know that it's being touched. So we want to make sure that that credit report is clean on a regular basis. So to do that, what we're going to do is, once you pull that credit report, and there's several different companies I love, all right? I love IdentitySecure.com. IdentitySecure.com is a paid service. I've had mine for 12 years, and it allows me to watch my social security number. It allows me to watch all my credit reports, all my credit cards, to make sure there's no frauds on there. It also allows for you to dispute things directly on the site. And it's really not that much money. It's one of those, it is a monitoring system, and yes, there is a cost to it, but I have been using it for 12 years and I love it. I am not an affiliate for it. I'm just recommending it because I love it. Their credit reports come out every 90 days. And every 90 days you can pull all 3 credit bureaus, and their reports are so easy to read. It's got all the detail on it, and your score, so that you can really keep an eye on your credit report on an ongoing basis. The second one I really like is Credit Sesame. Now, these links are actually in the description, but Credit Sesame is an app that you can put on your phone, and it'll actually send you alerts about what's going on with your credit report. It'll also send you ways that you can increase your credit, recommendations on what you can do to increase your credit, and it's a really great information source. And it also does all 3 reports. Last I used it. Now, the third one is Credit Karma. Credit Karma is probably the most widely used today for free credit reports, but it only gives you 2 out of the 3 reports. And none of them give you the 4th company that does credit, because it's really not as well known and not as well known served. I don't even know the name of the 4th one, to be honest with you. But there is 4 credit bureaus that monitor your credit. But we want the 3 major: Experian, TransUnion, and why didn't I write that down? There's one more. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank, because I'm tired probably. That being said, you do want all 3 major reports: TransUnion, Experian, and sorry, it's my 50-year-old brain going. So that being said, let's keep moving. Once you actually pull your report, you're going to compare it to what you've already written, right? Your front of mind debts, and then you're going to list the items that are missing. Those are going to be anything that's medical, any student loans that you may have missed, because student loans usually break down into every semester that you've ever borrowed. Even if it's consolidated, it breaks down into every semester you've already borrowed, which really makes it confusing for paying it back. That being said, we want to list everything that's outstanding on your credit report. Okay? One of the things that that original date is going to come into play is, once you have everything written and you have that original date that it was reported, there's an original date it was reported and the most recent date that it was reported, right? We're really looking at the original date and the most recent. Put the most recent date in the notes, because if there is a debt that you didn't know about that keeps reporting every month and it's up to date, it's going to be a little more difficult to dispute. Doesn't mean you can't. It just means that it may be a little more difficult to dispute. Having that original date that it was recorded and your last payment date, I think there's a last payment date off the top of my head, I can't remember. That is when you're going to be able to know if it's a good time to dispute it or not. Because if it's 7 years and older, dispute it. Even if it's being reported a million times, we're going to dispute it as part of your debt payoff plan. Because after 7 years, it doesn't necessarily drop off, but it does give you the time frame to be able to dispute it to allow it to be taken off, right? And every credit bureau has a dispute process that you can do for free directly on their site. But that's a whole nother training. Right now, I just want you to write it on your list and know that it's going to be part of your debt payoff plan. All right. Once you've done that, and I know this is a lot, step number 5 is brainstorm from all those others. That's your honor debt. Really honing in on what debt do I need to pay off that is not front of mind. That's your anything that you've borrowed to remodel your home with. If maybe you had a flood and you had to borrow money from someone to be able to pay for that emergency issue in the moment, right? That you never had to pay back. Like it was just given to you by a friend or a family and it was never expected to be paid back. Write it down. Because even though it wasn't expected to be paid back, you're still carrying it for the sheer fact that you're thinking about it as soon as I ask about it. You know, I do know, I have not been through recovery, but I do know a lot of recovery people, friends of mine, and they do talk about the 12 steps. In the 12 steps is making amends, and making amends with your debt is a part of that. You know, that money that you have borrowed or taken over the years, letting that go will allow you to step into the confidence of being able to move forward. So please make sure you're writing down all of it. Be honest with yourself. This is for you and you alone, right? This is for your future. So making sure that those honor debts are on there is going to help release them. Even if you can't do anything about it right this moment, the fact of the matter is you're putting it in your plan and you're not ignoring it any longer. All right? All right. Now, once you have all of that done, the next step is to prioritize your payoff. Now, in the notes section, you'll see where it says I put priority at the top and then I put any notes that you want to remember. So leave a little space in the front. This is where you're going to put a number next to the debt that you want to pay off first, second, third, fourth, fifth. There are several different ways of paying off your debt that are known in the finance industry, one of which is considered what they call the snowball effect. The snowball effect has been around for centuries, right? It's really been around for a very long time, and that was really the concept of taking the lowest balance and paying that off first, and then taking that money and putting it on the second lowest balance and then paying that one off. So it really kind of snowballs the effect of paying down your debt. And it is an excellent way of prioritizing if you need to see immediate results. It is not the most savings as far as cost of funds is considered, but when you're looking at your emotional stability when it comes to your debt, if seeing those small wins matters to you, then the snowball effect works. Because when you can see a win and you can apply that dollar amount to the next one and see another win, you really start building the confidence that your plan is working, and it allows you to keep going, right? That's putting that emotional state into your plan when you're actually considering how you want to pay these off. The second way of paying it off is what they call the avalanche. The avalanche takes the highest interest rate regardless of balance and pays it off first. That is the one that saves the most money but does not save the most time. So when you're making your plan, you have to take into consideration, do I want those small wins emotionally? And does saving time matter? Because the snowball effect is going to save time. The avalanche effect is going to save money. And there are a million calculators out there on, if you just Google debt payoff calculators, you will get a ton of calculators that will help you determine that, where you can actually enter your list. And I'll put, I'll add that link too as well in the comments of the one that I really like. Making a note so I don't forget. Okay, but that'll help you also be able to see exactly how much time you're going to save for that particular strategy, or how much money you're going to save, and how much money you're going to save for that strategy. Either strategy is going to save money over the long run. Either of them, because you're paying down faster than minimum, so you're not paying as much interest in the long run. But to be able to put these into the calculators, you'll be able to really tell what fits you the most, whether it's saving money and not so much the time, or saving the time and not so much the money. So the third way is customizing it. That's just looking at it and saying, you know what, I want to pay this one off first, this one off next, this one off next, because I really think that that's where my money should go, right? You're making a personal decision on which one you want to pay off first. Those calculators, you should be able to actually create a custom as well, to be able to see what your savings are going to be in dollars and what your savings are going to be in time, based on how you customize it for yourself. All right. All right. So once you figure out priority on how you want to pay them off, the next is to determine an additional amount. Remember how we were listing, and we had listed the minimum payment, but you had actually been paying more on that amount? Add up those amounts that you've been paying more on, right? Because you're going to add up the minimums and get that final dollar amount. That dollar amount is your payment for debt month over month until your debt is paid off. That is your fixed payment until your debt is paid off. As long as you do not use your cards again, right? Committing to the plan means not using them. I do not recommend closing them, but definitely get them out of sight, out of mind, so that you do not use them while you're while you're actually working your debt plan. So after you add up your minimums, you get that figure. Add up what you've been paying extra and see if that dollar amount still works for you. If you can lump that total dollar amount onto your number one priority on your list, and so let's say your total minimum payments is $550. $550 works for you. That's just at the minimum. Of course, that's the most expensive way of doing it, right? Let's say you add up all those extra payments that you have already been paying, if you have, and it adds up to $120. Add those two figures together, 550 and 120, that's $670. Can you feasibly do that on a consistent basis until your debt is paid off? If the answer is yes, then put that whole $120 on your number one priority, and your number one priority only. $670 is going to be your monthly payment. How you allocate that $670 is based on your priority list. So let's say you have your number one priority is American Express. It's got $3,000 on it. It's my lowest balance because I'm going to go with the snowball, lowest to highest balance, right? So $3,000 is my lowest balance, and my minimum payment's like $97. But I'm going to tack that $120 onto the $97, which makes it 200 and, I don't know, 97, 120, $217, I think. I don't know. I'm terrible at instant math. That being said, and I'm a goof, but that's okay. So that's the amount that you're going to pay on your American Express. The $120 is going to be extra. So now that you've got that $217 on that, once the $3,000 is gone, that $217 gets tacked onto the minimum payment of your priority number 2. And the entire plan works only if you commit to the plan and commit to it for the long haul. It's so important not to worry about how it got there, unless you're dealing with your spending patterns, but that's a different subject. When you're really looking at your spending patterns and why it is that you create debt in the first place, then you're looking at the why. But for your plan, don't worry about the why. Let's just get you paying it off and not using it any longer. Let's worry about the why when you're really asking yourself and looking at your financial history and understanding the psychology behind why you do what you do. Because sometimes debt creates urgency. Urgency creates you getting out of bed, going to a job you hate every single day. And that is a pattern and a subconscious practice that you keep yourself in, that loop of, if I don't have a reason to go to work, then why am I doing it? Debt can be that reason for some people. That is an emotional connection to your spending. If you commit to your plan and you work the plan all the way through to the end, you are going to save a ton of money and a ton of time. And I never recommend doing your mortgage first. Your mortgage is always last, because that's good debt. Your car is second to last, because that's good debt. It gets you where you need to go. Now, I wrote an entire article on should I pay my car off in leadlifeinc.com, and it really hones in on continuously having a car payment no matter what, whether you have a debt on it or not. Because the perpetual cycle of always having a car payment is going to allow you to pay for that next car cash at some point. So go to leadlifeinc.com to read that article and really hone in on your plan. Put those credit cards away. Do not close them. Do not call them and cancel your credit cards. That will completely destroy your credit. But put them where they're out of sight, out of mind. You cannot use them. And commit to yourself. Commit to your future. Because once all that debt is paid off, you get to put it all towards your future. You get to put it all towards investments and your retirement and your dream purchases, your travel, all that, those things that you've been giving up right now. All this money that you've been putting on your debt and the cost of that, those funds, are keeping you from having those dreams and keeping you from having that future. So commit to your plan. Please comment below. Ask me any questions that you would like. I'd be happy to help. You can also email me at info@leadlifeinc.com. I'll put the link in the comments as well, and I'd be happy to help. So this is all part of phase 2 in the Financial Alignment Academy. Because when we're going through this in phase 2, we do talk about those emotional pieces. We talk about why it is that you create debt perpetually, or why it is that you spend the way you spend, why it is you have a hard time with your budget. And I also help you create that in that Financial Alignment Academy. But I would absolutely love to hear from you. Please let me know if you like these videos and if there's any subject that you really want to hear about, because I would love to be able to come up with something that you're interested in as well. So thank you. Happy Friday, Life Leaders, and I am looking forward to next Friday. Thank you. Bye.